Have you ever caught yourself wondering if you truly matter to the people around you? That quiet moment when you're alone with your thoughts, questioning your place in someone else's world? Well, my friend, you're not alone in this contemplation. And today's video might just be the most important one you'll watch about understanding your real value in others' lives. Before you even think about skipping ahead or jumping to the conclusion, let me tell you why these next few minutes are crucial. You see, we're not just going to scratch the surface here. We're diving deep into ancient wisdom that has guided humans for over 2,000 years, combined with practical observations that will forever change how you view your relationships. The Roman philosopher Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." And understanding your true value in someone's life, that's where this courage begins. You might think you need complex frameworks or endless lists of signs to understand your worth in someone's life. But here's the truth. It all comes down to just 5 essential things. 5 fundamental aspects that, when understood correctly, will illuminate your place in anyone's world with crystal clarity. The ancient Stoics, those practical philosophers who've influenced countless generations, knew something profound about human connections. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote in his Meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This simple yet powerful observation hints at the first thing we need to understand about our value in others' lives. Let's begin with the first essential observation: the quality of silence. Not just any silence, but those moments when you're together with someone and words become unnecessary. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught us, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This applies perfectly to those comfortable silences we share with others. You see, when you can sit in complete silence with someone and feel utterly at peace, that's not just companionship. That's profound trust. Think about it. In our hyper-connected world where everyone's constantly talking, posting, sharing, and commenting, the ability to share comfortable silence with someone is increasingly rare. When you can be with someone without the constant need to fill the air with words, you've reached a level of connection that most people never experience. This isn't about being quiet because you have nothing to say. It's about being so comfortable with each other that you don't need words to communicate. The second vital sign of your value in someone's life is what I call the unconscious priority. This is when someone includes you in their life's narrative, without conscious effort. You know you've achieved this when people naturally say "we" instead of "I" when talking about future plans or experiences. Marcus Aurelius touched on this concept when he wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This unconscious priority manifests in subtle ways. It's when someone automatically saves you a seat, grabs your favorite snack without asking, or considers your schedule before making plans. It's not about grand gestures or proclaimed importance. It's about being naturally woven into the fabric of someone's daily life. But here's where many people get it wrong. They look for these signs in isolation, or they try to force them into existence. The Stoics would remind us that true value, like virtue, cannot be forced. It must grow naturally, like a plant reaching toward the sun. As Seneca wisely noted, "Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company." Let's explore the third indicator, which I call the echo of impact. This is perhaps the most subtle yet powerful sign of your value in someone's life. It's when your influence continues to resonate in their decisions, thoughts, and actions, even in your absence. Think about how certain people's voices seem to live in your head, offering guidance or perspective when you need it most. That's exactly what we're talking about here. This echo manifests in various ways, when someone quotes you, adopts your mannerisms, or considers what would they think before making important decisions. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus captured this beautifully when he said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." When you truly matter to someone, your presence in their life becomes something they embody rather than something they merely acknowledge. The fourth sign of your value in someone's life is what I'll call the vulnerable truth. This is when someone feels safe enough to share their unfiltered reality with you, their fears, dreams, and everything in between. You see, in a world where we're constantly crafting our image and managing perceptions, the willingness to be vulnerable is perhaps the rarest form of trust. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, taught that a true friend is another I, suggesting that authentic relationships require a level of honesty that mirrors the conversations we have with ourselves. When someone shares their vulnerabilities with you, they're essentially saying, "I trust you with my true self." This isn't just about sharing secrets, it's about showing you the unpolished, unfiltered versions of themselves that they hide from the rest of the world. Think about those late-night conversations where someone opens up about their deepest insecurities, or those moments when they let their guard down completely. These aren't just conversations, they're sacred spaces of trust. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When someone chooses to color their vulnerable moments with your presence, they're telling you something profound about your value in their life. But here's something crucial to understand. This vulnerability isn't always about grand revelations or emotional breakdowns. Sometimes it's in the small admissions, the confession of a silly fear, the sharing of an embarrassing story, or the acknowledgement of a personal flaw. These moments might seem trivial on the surface, but they're actually golden threads in the fabric of deep connection. The fifth and final sign is what I call the investment of growth. This is perhaps the most powerful indicator of your value in someone's life, yet it's often the most overlooked. It's when someone not only accepts you as you are, but actively invests in your growth and evolution. As Seneca wisely observed, one hand washes the other. This mutual investment in growth is the hallmark of truly valuable relationships. This investment manifests in various ways. It might be through honest feedback when you need it, challenging your perspectives when they're limiting, or celebrating your progress when you achieve something meaningful. It's not about blind support or constant praise. Rather, it's about someone caring enough about your development to invest their time, energy, and wisdom in your journey. Epictetus put it beautifully when he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When someone values you deeply, they want you to achieve this mastery. They don't just want to see you happy. They want to see you grow, evolve, and become the best version of yourself. This might sometimes mean they tell you things you don't want to hear, push you out of your comfort zone, or hold you accountable to your own standards. Now here's where everything we've discussed comes together in a powerful realization. These 5 signs, the quality of silence, the unconscious priority, the echo of impact, the vulnerable truth, and the investment of growth, they're not just isolated indicators. They're interconnected threads that weave together to form the tapestry of genuine human connection. The Stoics understood something profound about human relationships that we often forget in our modern rush for validation. They knew that true value isn't measured in grand gestures or proclaimed feelings, but in the quiet, consistent ways we show up in each other's lives. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." The way you matter in someone's life creates ripples that extend far beyond the present moment. But here's the crucial part, and I want you to really absorb this. Recognizing these signs isn't about seeking validation or keeping score. It's about understanding the depth and quality of your connections so you can nurture them mindfully. The Stoics emphasize the importance of focusing on what we can control, And while we can't control how others value us, we can control how we show up in their lives. As we begin to wrap up this exploration, I want you to reflect on something important. These 5 signs might seem simple on the surface, but they represent profound truths about human connection. They're not about social media interactions, public declarations, or material exchanges. They're about the deeper, more meaningful ways we touch each other's lives. Remember how I asked you at the beginning of this video to stay with me until the end? Well, now you understand why. These insights aren't just theoretical concepts, they're practical tools for understanding and appreciating your place in the lives of others. But there's still more to unpack, because understanding these signs is just the beginning. The real magic happens in how we use this knowledge. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus taught that we should not say that a musician is a musician if he sings badly. Similarly, we shouldn't just recognize these signs, we should learn to embody them ourselves. Because here's the beautiful truth. When you understand how to recognize your value in others' lives, you also learn how to be more valuable in those relationships. Let's take a moment to consider how these 5 signs can transform not just how you see your value, but how you create value in your relationships. Think about the quality of silence we discussed earlier. Once you understand its importance, you might find yourself becoming more comfortable with those quiet moments, allowing connections to deepen naturally without the constant need for words or activity. With the unconscious priority, knowing its significance might help you notice when you're naturally including others in your own life's narrative. Are you automatically considering certain people when making plans? Do you find yourself saying we instead of I? These aren't just signs you receive, they're qualities you can cultivate in your own behavior. The echo of impact takes on new meaning when you realize that your words and actions continue to influence others even in your absence. As Seneca wisely noted, the greatest power we have is the power of influence. This understanding should make us more mindful of how we show up in every interaction, knowing that each moment could create lasting ripples in someone's life. The vulnerable truth becomes even more powerful when you recognize it as a two-way street. When you understand its value, you might find yourself creating safer spaces for others to be vulnerable with you. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, look within. Within is the fountain of good. By being authentic ourselves, we invite others to do the same. And the investment in growth, this might be the most transformative when you start actively practicing it. It's not just about receiving support for your own growth, but about genuinely investing in the development of others. As Epictetus taught, no great thing is created suddenly. The same applies to meaningful relationships. They're built through consistent, mindful investment in each other's growth. But here's something crucial I want you to understand. Something that ties everything we've discussed together. These signs of value aren't just metrics for measuring relationships. They're guidelines for creating deeper, more meaningful connections. The Stoics understood that true happiness comes not from what we receive, but from what we give and how we live. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want to leave you with a powerful thought from Marcus Aurelius. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. This quote reminds us of something profound, that understanding our value in others' lives isn't about seeking perfection or constant validation. It's about recognizing the beautiful, messy, complex nature of human connections and choosing to show up fully anyway. So, as you move forward from this video, I encourage you to do 3 things. First, start noticing these 5 signs in your existing relationships, not to judge them, but to appreciate their depth and quality. Second, begin consciously cultivating these qualities in how you show up for others. And finally, remember that your value isn't determined by any single moment or interaction, but by the consistent way you weave yourself into the fabric of others' lives. The ancient Stoics left us with a wealth of wisdom about human nature and relationships, but perhaps their most important lesson was this: true value isn't about what we have or what we get. It's about how we live and how we connect. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The same is true for relationships. It's not just about how others value you, but how you choose to be valuable. Let this understanding guide you as you move through your relationships. Let it remind you that your value isn't something you need to constantly prove or defend. It's something you naturally emanate when you show up authentically and mindfully in others' lives. Remember, the 5 signs we've discussed today aren't just indicators to look for. They're qualities to embody, practices to cultivate, and ways of being that can transform your relationships and your life. Thank you for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in these insights, share them with someone who might need to hear them. After all, as Seneca reminded us, one of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. Let's create more of that understanding in the world, one relationship at a time.